This is Margaret Ann Windsor. The name I have to use is Peggy Ann Dempsey. I married Childers. I want to show you part of why I'm so sick. And this has been ongoing, moving me from room to room and motel to motel, HUD to HUD, where the same thing is set up. I'm allergic to chemicals. I have an autoimmune disorder. I'm going to show you these. I've moved here so many times. I've lived here since July the 19th, a year ago. But prior to that, I'd been moved from motel. I'd tried to leave and got a couple, 3 HUDs, and they were gotten to. It was all set up. Here's what this one looks like, and I'm just about dead. I just moved here. Across the hall, from up the hall, down the hall.
Throughout the trial has maintained the brothers actually killed their parents out of greed and hate.
My purpose was to kill the parents because the parents were about to disinherit them, and the parents were fed up with them.
So the prosecution's case was actually straightforward. Everything showed that Lyle and Eric Menendez had, in fact, shotgunned their parents to death.
The prosecution's star witness was Dr. Jerome Oziel. He was their therapist, and he was the person who the brothers had confessed to.
We did it. I didn't believe they were guilty. I just couldn't fathom that they could have done that. I never believed whatsoever.
This is the filters. I don't know if you really can see how dirty they are, but you can see the what I'm inhaling, and then
was dramatic for everyone because it's very rare that you get to hear from the mouth of someone who has committed a murder exactly how that murder went down.
Anyway, I'm going to get back over here. And I had a bacterial infection, virus, and I'm going to put this up to let you know where I'm at. And
oh my gosh, I mean, how many people would do that? I just fired until there was nothing left. There was things shattering, and the noise was phenomenal. Just chaos.
And the toilet, I think, is fixed, but now I'm so sick because I've just cut myself over there. I hope that doesn't bother me.
Was your gun empty?
They're showing, I'm going to go to this part about I have an autoimmune disorder, allergic to chemicals, and this is how they run me. I've got YouTubes and Facebook up. I turned on HLN. I think it's the division of CNN who knows all this. I wrote about mind control murders done in patterns. Larry Flint was shot in Lawrenceville, Georgia when I was doing the book, 76 until 80. He was shot in Lawrenceville, Georgia. This woman right here, Nancy Grace, I'm going to tell you something. This woman knows exactly what was used. She worked for the DA in Fulton County. I was down there, and she was a close friend of his and the district attorney, and she got all this big program after then while I lived in hell telling about this, writing about it and trying to get the book published. Nancy Grace's boyfriend years ago was supposed to have been killed, and she was assistant district attorney, and I can't think of his name. They're a real close friend, his wife and her. And she went on to get on this program, and she had it for years, and everybody loves her. Now then, a lot of them she told her about were mind control murders, just like the one in Atlanta with Wayne Williams. I can cite you a whole bunch more that I've put up. This woman helped go after, Anthony Casey was one. That's down in Florida. Kissimmee was where her attorney was from. Okay, you get into a whole list, and I'm going to quit. They were done in patterns, and I later was flown out to Mr. Flint's in a campaign when one of the congressman, Larry McDonald, was supposed to have gone down on the KAL, August the 31st of 83. I had written about him in the book MD: A License to Kill. It was about mind control and programming, like in the Tesla files that were stolen. I didn't know then that the Illuminati were, I didn't know about my kidnapping, who my parents are. The Illuminati, your mafia, Freemasons, had taken down my father, Edward VIII, with lies, character assassination. He was married to Claudia Ruth O'Keefe from Madison, Wisconsin, an American. They took him down. He never abdicated. He was forced out. He had an addendum or an attachment, and it was all legal. Went through proper channels. If you had a child, it wouldn't disinherit the child. Well, I was born, that was in 36, December, I believe. Okay, I was born in 39, and I've put all this up on YouTube and Facebook, so I'm not going further. They kidnapped me. This is odd. Today's JFK something. Anyway, he helped in my kidnapping. His father, Joe, was appointed ambassador to England in 36 for the sole purpose of taking my dad down because he wouldn't take orders from the Illuminati. And the Illuminati and my uncle, George VI, is illegal, helped take down his brother, helped with the Illuminati, helped kidnap me, and JFK helped bring me from London. He flew in there and stayed at the embassy and spoke before Parliament. And everybody loves him. Warren Commission covered it up because it would lead to me, my kidnapping and takedown of my dad, and the use of mind control. Mind control was used in his shooting, Oswald, but that gets into a lengthy thing, but that's what was used in it. George Wallace, the governor, president of, he ran for president. He was governor of Alabama, and Laurel, Maryland, he was shot by a program shooter. Martin Luther King, who the truth has never been told about Reverend Andrew Young, who was with him when he was shot, and their connection to the Kennedys and using the mental health system and pretending people are just crazy and locking them up, using that when they're programmed. It's mind control used on them. Now, I'm going to stop because a lot's happened to me, and I've lived a hell of a bad life. I was out at Flint's, found out my real name a little later, and horrible things have been done to me and my sons. Mark and Scott are the real heirs after me, not Harry and Meghan, not William and Kate, not Charles. They've committed all these crimes that everybody accepts, especially the United States. They follow them around with cameras everywhere they go. This Illuminati, control your press. They are your press. So they're not going to tell about me. I had to go to Facebook and YouTube. It hasn't done me much good. But I'm going to tell you, I just saw this program. It's just gone off. But it's on LN. That's where Nancy Grace used to be. It was called something else with not Turner Broadcasting, but anyway, CNN. They're telling about the ones they've told are mind control murders that I have continually. They're done in patterns. The John Bonet Ramsey. This is Lyle Menendez. Lyle and what was his brother supposed to kill their parents? They'd have been in prison all these years. I could keep on going, but I'm going to focus on this one. For example, the Ramsey murders. You get into I can't stand Nancy Grace. She's on here now. She's TV host and prosecutor. She's talking about the Menendez. Nobody brings up that these are mind control murders and who really does it. They've covered it up because they'd have to mention me and what's been done to me and my family and my country. I'm sitting here and I wonder if I'm going to live to see the day they were telling about John Bonet. I'm going to mention this one because, there was the bombing in Alabama, but the bombing at Piedmont Park. and I'm going to forget his name. It's been so long ago. So maybe I shouldn't. What was his name? Anyway, this is where Lynn Wood, the attorney for Richard Jewell, who was blamed for the bombing at Piedmont Park back then, during the Olympic, I believe, park bombing. And Lynn Wood was the attorney that represented him, and Richard Jewell didn't do it. What was it? Eric Rudolph, okay, is the one that they were after, and he actually lived up here or down, not too far on down the Appalachian Trail there, in the mountains and the forest here, and hid out for a long, long time. They were looking for him. I told about the mind control murders. Larry Flint was shot by a program shooter. You can create an illness or cure it. Tesla files. That's just part that was in the Tesla files. And excuse me for bouncing around. I don't feel good. I'm almost 80 years old. And I've been telling this and struggling for money, every law in the book. I hope I didn't cut my hand over there on that stuff. And sucking up air that... where's your... People refer me to the health department. I've called all of them. I am shut down as far as having any money, hardly. Any... somebody off of YouTube, they sent me some clothes that I am so thankful for, but I may lose them because I'm going to have to move again. It's so bad. I'm so sick. I've just showed you that. So, these were done in patterns. Larry Flint endorsed me when I was out there in 83, and Hustler magazine, but it was in April of 84, stating that I knew who was responsible for his shooting in Lawrenceville, Georgia. And so that was enough people saw that. But all this, let me go back to the John Bonet. Lynn Wood became the attorney for the Ramseys. They live in Marietta, Georgia. She was buried in Marietta, Georgia, and I think Patsy, her mother, was too. But you get into the Roswell, that's Roswell. I'm not going to try to get into the other Roswell, how it fits into this. But Roswell, Georgia is right there in Marietta, Atlanta suburb. And they lived there. And she was, I think her body was flown back there. Anyway, long story short, this was done in patterns. Her murder was. Now then, I have gone back there spending my own money and walking at times because I didn't have much money. And I went to Lynn Wood, and I never actually spoke with Mr. Wood. He was downtown Atlanta, and oddly enough, he's down there on Peachtree Street in the building where Mary Welcome worked there, the Wayne Williams and Michael Thievis attorney was there. It's a building where Andy Griffith was played Matlock, and it shows the building that's what I'm talking about. His office, Lynn Wood, was just a block down from that or two. So anyway, he was in a building that was just being constructed and finished. But I talked to his secretary a couple of times. I went down there different times and paid my way and come back up. So later, I'm camped out off the Mountain Pass Road here in Troutville, outside Roanoke, and I lived cold and frozen, starved up there. I almost lost my legs. People were told not to help me, and they didn't. Anyway, I had come down. I couldn't walk that good anymore, and I came down closer to Mountain Pass Road. And actually, I was back up a little bit, so you couldn't, behind the boulders, where if you didn't know I was there, you wouldn't see me. So I was sitting there, and I looked down there, and I have seen Lynn Wood, a very nice-looking, distinguished man. Remember, he represented Richard Jewell, who was accused of the bombing, and then he proved he didn't do it. And then Eric Rudolph, they went after him, and there's a whole story in what happened up and down the trail. Here where I was camped out, he even was in the cab that one of the people that I used to think was a friend drove. He really was in the cab. The poor man went through hell. Finally, in Murphy, this name is very important in this. Murphy, North Carolina, at 4 o'clock in the morning, a policeman caught Eric Rudolph trying to get food out of the garbage dump behind one of the fast food. I can't remember which. Now, it's important to the policeman's name because he was new. His name was Scott. I don't know if his first name was Scott or last name. John Benet Ramsey's attorney came up there. When he saw me, he waved. Linwood, he walked out up the trail a little bit, up there, almost to where I was. And when I was standing there and I looked at him, he waved at me and he turned around and went back. Because obviously nobody's going to touch it. Because if you tell about it, it's the government doing it to me that kidnapped me. Helped kidnap me and did, and ongoing, this hell that me and my sons have gone through, Mark and Scott. Your government is responsible for these murders, for your mass murders, programming people. And I'm going to leave it here. I'm not going to go any further. I've put it up. I will say this. One of the ministers here, or one of the churches out in Troutville, close to the trail where I was, sent a book up to me, and I usually put it up, and I can't right now, the page out of it. But this was in 96. Well, that's when John Bonet was killed, I think. 96, they sent it up there. It was by Tex Mars, and he's dead now. But he and his cousin, I believe it was, they've had a lot of books on end times and etc. I did not know till they sent the book up there. I knew I'd been kidnapped, and the Illuminati did it and took down my father. And it was the treaties that came to be, like the Jews went back to Jerusalem. And this whole thing is about chipping. And I didn't realize that the chips being put in people that I was telling about and then program had to do anything with the end times. But they sent this book, and it was called Project Lucid, or L period U period C period, I period, D period. It was published by a religious group or publishing. Anyway, in it, I usually put it up a lot because what I was telling, and I already had Timothy McVeigh as being programmed that did the bombing in Oklahoma City. And he died. He was put to death. Scott Peterson, if it's not stopped, he will be put to death. He's been on death row. By the way, they had this up, Scott Peterson up just prior to this, come to think of it, on HLN. And I want to mention this, and I'm going to get off. It's, my life's been hell. There's no way that, anyway, Timothy McVeigh, in this article, this page out of the book, it talks about the beast and the chipping in the Illuminati and end times. They were sent up to me, and the minister told him to tell me this is what you've been talking about. And I was talking about a long time before this book was published, back in 76 to 80, when I was almost killed, then got in the campaign, and Mr. Flynn had been shot by a program shooter, as George Wallace was in Laurel, Maryland, and shot by a program shooter when he ran for president. And I could go on and on. But the Tesla files had a lot of stuff that was way out that people should know about, because it's really technology you can't imagine. But you can cure an illness or create it, and that's what I was writing about, the murders that programming people, but lists of people who have had cancer, when